Hello and welcome to this OpenTX quick tip. This quick tip is something that's quite basic but seems to be something that's catching a lot of people out. It's about how you control mixes with switches, both physical switches on the radio and logical switches as well. Now, I did a video a while ago about differential thrust, and quite a few people have asked on that how you could set it so that the differential thrust was turned on or off automatically via the position of a throttle. And the interesting thing is I'm getting lots of questions like this for answers that already exist in some form or another in the OpenTX Mix School playlist. Now, this playlist is laid out so it starts relatively simple at the top and works its way down. And if you're particularly interested in a topic, if you Google whatever it is you're interested in trying to set up, along with the Painless 360 name, you'll usually find a video that will give you an idea. I've shown pretty much everything once, most things 2 or 3 times, and a handful of things a lot more than that. So by going through the videos, and what you'll find is the same things are being used over and over again to create the different mixes that people need. But because I've had a couple of people ask the question, I'm going to create this quick little video and show you how you can control mixes with switches, with one of the basic functions when you're setting up a Taranis model. Now, usually I tend to only do these kind of videos now because there's so many that I've already done when I get a really interesting question. And I've helped quite a few Patreons recently where they've been struggling with their setup and they've ended up sending me their model file and I've fixed it and got back to them. And that's always quite fun as well, trying to figure out why something doesn't work in a particularly complex mix or model memory. But this time, what we're going to do is we're going to answer the question that Max1 asked and other subscribers like Red Hot Pheasant. So this time we're going to talk about mixes and switches. So first of all, we have this model here. This is one that's set up with standard differential thrust. Again, I'm not going to show how to set this up. Go and have a look at my differential thrust video to find out what it's all about. But really what's happening is channel 3 and channel 4 are the throttle, and we're mixing in a little bit of rudder. So what that looks like is if you look at channel 3 and channel 4, as I move the throttle up and then move the rudder left and right, you can see the engines getting more and less power to assist in the turn. So let me show you how you do that just using a standard switch to turn that on and off. Maybe you wanted that ability on the ground and you didn't want it in the air, or vice versa. Go in the mixes. Here is the 2 throttle channels, channels 3 and channels 4. And what we've done is we've said that we want an additional bit of the rudder, 20% of the rudder, mixed in to the output, and you're using this thing here to turn it on and off. Now this means the exclamation mark means when it's not, or the opposite of. So when the switch SB is not in the back position, then this all works. So the effect of that is when SB is in the back position, I move the throttle up and I move it left and right, you can see that the throttles don't have any differential. If I move SB out of that back position in any of the other 2, you'll suddenly notice that we've got differential again. It moves around. Put SB back in the back position, then it turns off that differential thrust. And this is a pretty basic part of how you do the mixes in OpenTX. So you can add anything to any output and you can have multiple things one after the other, and you can switch between them with switches on the radio. Now, one of the cool things you can do is you can actually use something called logical switches in the radio to detect when certain things happen. Now, I've got a logical switch here set up, and it works exactly the same way as a physical switch, but this time it's a pretend switch that's going to be turned on and off when certain conditions are met. Now, there is loads of things you can choose from here, but we're using the function when A is less than X. If you remember back to your mathematics from primary, secondary school, then hopefully that's going to ring a bell. And what we're saying here is when A, which is the throttle input, is less than X, which is minus 80. And remember, the channels on the Taranis go from minus 100 to plus 100, with 0 being the middle channel position. So this is almost at the very bottom. Logical switch 1 turns on. So let me just show you how that works. So there's our logical switch 1. You can see it's turned on. As I increase the throttle past that point, logical switch turns off. Because what's actually happening, if the throttle gets above the minus 80 position, then A isn't less than X, or throttle isn't less than minus 80, so it turns off. So we can actually use that just like we could with that physical switch. Remember, we were kind of flicking a switch to actually change the mix. We can use that logical switch to do exactly the same thing. So if we go into mixes, here's the same kind of thing. Again, we're going to mix in a little bit of the rudder into this throttle channel. But this time, the switch that we're using isn't one of the physical switches, which is all this stuff down here. It's actually logical switch 1. So the way that works is we simulate that. Logical switch 1 is on at the moment. So if I go left and right, you can actually see the differential on channels 3 and 4. There we are, moving around. But if I increase the throttle past the limit that we've set in the logical switch setting, L1 goes off. See there, it's just disappeared. And now if I go left and right, the differential has disappeared, and we get standard linear throttles that are identical on both ESC channels 3 and 4. Fantastic. Okay, that makes sense. But let's finish off and go one last step and show you that you can actually have multiple things happening at the same time. So this time what we've done is we've kind of added both. So here we've got when switch B is in one position and when switch G is in a different position. So let's make it in here. Let's set that logical switch up again. This time let's set one of these to be the logical switch. Let's just replace that one. So we're going to look for logical switch 01 and we'll do the same here. Click down, press L on the keyboard is kind of the shortcut takes to logical switches. There we go. So now what should happen is in the simulator, logical switch 1 is on. So we've got differential on our 2 throttles, channel 3 and 4. You should see them moving there. There we go. As I go up to a certain point, it disappears. But we could add it back, because actually what we've done is we've added another line here that says when SG isn't in the back position, pretty much do the same thing. So we could be flying along, we could be taxiing on the ground, and this is helping us with maybe moving around and taxiing into position. Then as we take off, we don't want differential thrust, but maybe when we're in the air, we want to do much tighter turns. By flicking SG out the back position, that then re-enables differential thrust, and there it is, it's all working. And again, if we wanted to turn it off in the air, we'd just put SG in the back position. So that's what those two things are doing. So actually channel 3 has 3 things on it. The main throttle channel, it also has a little bit of the differential mixed in by the logical switch, but we could override that and say that we wanted it to happen with switch G when it's not in the back position as well. So hopefully that helps those of you that have been a little bit confused by this. Again, go and have a good look in the OpenTX Mix School. All of the things that I've just talked about in this particular video are already covered in at least 2 or 3 other videos. And it's worthwhile if you get a next spare 5 minutes just working your way through that playlist. And at the end, you'll be an OpenTX guru. If you found that video useful or like the content, then please hit the like and subscribe button down below. If you want to go the extra step, you can become a Patreon of the Painless 360 channel and help provide support for what I do here. All the videos created here are put into playlists, so if you're interested in a particular topic, have a look at the playlist, and they all are organised in there to make them easier to use. If you're not sure if there's a video for your particular problem or topic you want to know more about, then add Painless 360 to the Google search term that you're interested in, and that should find the video, article or content about the particular thing that you're interested in having a look at.